towards this project over 5 years. Up until December, our overall expenditure was 1.2, so about 600K per year. The cash income is mainly from the Well Trust, so far about $1.4 million. But added alongside of that, and this is part of the partnership we have with the Regional Council and others, we've basically attracted into the project just over $1 million, and I can add to this slide now actually. So with the Regional Council's amazing support, we've had EBIT come on board and sponsor a petrol-electric hybrid vehicle, which is worth about $30,000. Many staff in this organisation, in this building right now, make an amazing contribution to the Waikato Wellbeing Project just by doing their job. And so what we've tried to do is capture that a little bit, and over the first 2 years, that was worth about $145,000 in-kind time. That's probably an extraordinarily conservative estimate. Manutaki, like Bruce and Jen and others, we estimated the rough time that they might be putting towards this. There's 25 of them. Over 2 years, it's $340,000. And then co-funding. So we put $50,000 towards an organic waste research project. The Regional Council and MFE put $234,000. We ran a SDG summit earlier this year. We put in 20, everyone else put in 60. You can read the rest of the figures. The point is that we put in a little bit to unleash a lot. Trust Waikato has just agreed to fund Te Ara Potama to the tune of $450,000 over 3 years. And that's a really, really great advance for us in terms of that. We're also partnering with the Regional Council on that initiative in an in-kind way to make sure that we're all working together on a single approach towards wellbeing measurement. A similar kind of approach with lots of little fires and the Kai Challenge, that will be co-funded as well. Next, and I think the last slide, Dave. So our priorities this year, the progress report. So I'll give to Dave, or you can come and grab from me, a report that we produced in February. It's everything that I've just taken you through, plus the graphics on our SDG indicators for the region. We held a summit on the 9th and 10th of February in the Waikato, a national summit on sustainable development. We co-funded that. We want to maximise impacts from those indicators and insights, roll out the operating model for hunger. So we've got a new contractor starting on Monday who will be the project lead for our Kai Challenge, commission the Knowledge Centre and link that to the work that you're doing on community outcomes and the long-term plan. We will continue to grow lots of little fires. We're releasing about 1 new video per month. There's one coming up in the next few days on Fairfield College and some incredible work that they are doing. We are really wanting to work alongside you on things like the review of the future of local government. For those of you who read your way through that report, there were some incredible references to work which we think is a model for the Waikato Wellbeing Project and for all wellbeing leaders. We're always looking for efficiency and effectiveness to make that money go as far as it can, and that is all about addressing funding sustainability, because it's a self-interested comment, but I don't want this project to end after 5 years. I think it's too important, Mr. Chairman. So happy to answer your questions.
Are there any questions from councillors? Any comments? Yes.
Harvey, at the end of 5 years, what outputs would you like to see? Assuming, I know you don't want it to end, but what is your goal in the time frame?
Well, it goes to that framework, councillor, that I put up with the bars and the things hanging off them. I think really what we would see as impact is to really understand probably about 4 or 5 of those big wellbeing challenges for the Waikato region at a deep level, at a root cause level. Rangatahi wellbeing, Kai being the first couple, but there are others as well, which I think we need to actually get our head around as a region and understand far better than we have. So that's the research component. I would like to see Te Ara Potama working in a way where communities actually say, what's our wellbeing challenges, what does Te Ara Potama tell us, and how can we actually put knowledge and information into Te Ara Potama as well. I would like the Waikato region to be known as a place where 480,000 people are doing wellbeing and doing it really, really well. And for us to be, without being immodest, a model for the rest of New Zealand on how to do this. But ultimately, I'd like to see those wellbeing targets move and improve, not just GDP per capita, but climate, biodiversity, hunger, poverty, health, education, employment, economic development. those are the challenges.
Councillor Nicol.
Thank you, Harvey, for the presentation. I've seen a few by now, and it's definitely best one yet. So thank you. And congratulations for the Trust Waikato funding. That's a really great achievement for that data. And I also appreciate you putting up my favourite graph, which is that GDP wellbeing one. Definitely spoke to me. And I think with how much has been going on, we're well overdue for a catch-up, actually. So try and organise that. Other than that, yeah, really, really like the layout of where you've come from and where you're looking at going.
Do I have it? Yes, Councillor Smith.
Thank you. I am a little bit cynical in this space, so I don't intend to offend you or anyone else. I'm concerned about the amount of organisations that are in this space, whether it's directly called wellbeing or otherwise. I make considerable donations throughout the year, and that's my choice to organisations which I support, that support hunger and clothing for children and the likes. But listening to you, I'm just wondering what, it probably goes to Ben's question about the outputs, the KPIs, is where is the discernible difference, the discernible outcomes that that will be achieved? And with so many in the space and all being parochial, each contributing in their own way to the betterment of our children and others. And I read your report, and there's some nice, and I don't mean to be offensive, but flowery words that are nice to hear, and people use them all the time. So really the question is what will actually be achieved after 5 years that we can look back and say that was a great project to be involved with?
Well, thank you, Councillor. And I suppose, well-being is one of those areas where no one organisation can do it, and I think you and I would probably agree on that. And of course, success has many mothers, as we know. So when something goes very well, suddenly it was everybody's idea, and when it hasn't gone well, nobody was near it. And so we all collectively have a responsibility to identify what role we can play in order to advance these things. So I'll just give you an example. When we started on the Rangatahi Wellbeing Project, what we heard frequently from community organisations looking for resources to make a difference in terms of youth was, every time we go to a funder, they say, where's your business case? And they'd say, we don't have the resources to write a business case. We don't have the capacity to do that research, yet without it, we can't get the money. So we said, you know what? We'll do it for you. There it is. So we actually wrote this as a business case and as an investment case that any community organisation who was concerned with youth wellbeing, particularly in Hamilton because we were limited by COVID at that time, can actually put that in front of a funder and say that is, because that's research from the University of Waikato, from the voices of youth themselves, and say that is the best available information on youth wellbeing and the priorities according to the youth wellbeing sector in the Waikato on what needs to happen. That cost us $230,000. It did. That is now money well spent because we know already that there are community organisations and councils who are using this to actually back up the work that they want to do. And by pure chance yesterday, I ran into Andrew Macbeth, who's the police chief for Hamilton, and she said to me, that's a great bit of work. That's really helped us when we talk to people about what all needs to happen in order to support our youth, because it's got a cover on it and you actually give it to somebody and it's there for them to use. So that's just one example of what we're doing. So we are not at the front line, Councillor. We are not, in terms of hunger, you won't find us, except as individuals, out there, for example, giving out food. But the question right now for me, to jump to that one, is where's the biggest problem and the biggest opportunity in our Kai system? Because there are a lot of philanthropics doing great stuff, and yet the problem keeps getting bigger. Something's wrong. but no one's got the time and the capacity and the resource to ask what's wrong. We're up for it.
And thought that cost a bit. So looking forward to getting a copy. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Look, if not, I just wanted to thank you for your presentation, Harvey. As usual, it was an excellent example of the style of communication that you and your team do throughout the region, and I am confident of the impacts that you are having. I'm also confident of the way that you have aligned with the Regional Council goals and objectives, and I think we're getting a huge flow-on synergistic effect from the work of the Waikato Wellbeing Project. So I just wanted to thank you for all of your hard work, and we'll see you again at some stage for another update. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate it. Would anyone like me to leave a copy of that report? I'll just maybe just put them on the table here, Mr. Chairman, and people can pick them up at their leisure.
Thank you, councillors.
So we have a resolution on the screen. Would somebody like to move? Councillor Smith and Councillor Nicol were the first two, sorry. All those in favour? Oh, carried. Thank you. All right, so now we move on. Yeah, so we're moving on now to the health and safety report, and Stuart, I'm assuming, yeah, Stuart's here to cover this one off. Thank you.
Good morning. Thanks very much. I'll take the report as read and go through a few things that I think may be of interest to you. You'll have seen the incident there that happened at TCDC with the contractor employed. It was obviously intended to be a fun event, and it ended up a pretty negative one for a lot of people that were involved there. And this again goes on. I mean, there's been a bit of a theme through my discussions over the last few months about engaging contractors, and this is another example of why we need to do that really well. And that it's really important that we have professionals here that, you know, are available to train our staff and ensure that we engage contractors that are competent and experienced operators, so we continue to focus on that. Moving through, you'll see the incident report by month, and in March we've had an increase there of near misses, which is great to see. The team have been doing a drive across the organisation to ensure that near miss reporting is done more, basically, so we can get a handle on what's going on and then get to the bottom of any issues before they become an event. So that is a record high over the last 12 months and is great to see. And we've also been providing investigation training across the organisation to ensure that when these things come up, they're addressed quickly and to a high standard to ensure that we reduce the events where possible. Moving through, you'll see that as part of the incidents, we had a number of vehicle incidents this month past, and in previous months we have been talking about, or have brought to you, that there have been external incidents going on with members of the public driving unsafely, or, you know, things being observed from our own staff that have been reported. Unfortunately, this month it has been the other way around, and we've actually had a number of incidents with our own staff, whether it be on mobile phones or driving unsafely, that's been reported. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention and let you know that we're dealing with that via the code of conduct through relevant processes there to ensure that that is resolved. And we've looked at our vehicle policy and updated that, and have done a number of communications to the staff across the organisation to ensure that they're aware of the correct use of our vehicles. One other thing that I thought might interest you was a member of the public. We've got a medical emergency there at the transport centre, and that was actually one of our new staff members who joined us from GoBus. Was finished for the day and was heading home, and he walked out into the middle of the transport centre, and there was a gentleman had collapsed, and he attended to him immediately and contacted the emergency services. Lofty had no first aid training, but from the help and support of the emergency services, he was able to actually resuscitate the gentleman and bring him back to life. So that was an absolutely fantastic outcome there, and we were really appreciative. This is just one of a number of examples that have been happening across the organisation recently, which is really, really positive, and I wanted to bring it to your attention. Another thing which demonstrates good dynamic risk assessment on the fly is in the egress access piece there around, there was basically a number of staff that went out to a property and were due to drive across a field, and there was, they basically didn't deem it safe. It was a narrow access way and had a bank sloping off that was wet, and they decided at the time that it would be safer not to do that. So that was a really good example of them, you know, going out to do their day job, to do an investigation, and dynamically assessing the situation as it came about and deciding that it was unsafe to proceed. So it's great that the people have the confidence to do that. That were the key things that I wanted to bring to your attention. If you had any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Councillor Strange.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Stu, for your report. Pleasing to note that the feedback from last time has been included in this one as well. Just a couple of points. I've noticed on occasion trucks parking in the cycle lane outside the office here to unload goods.
Yes.
And just, that's a real risky situation.
Okay.
Is there any way we could look into that?
Certainly is. I wasn't aware of that, but I will look into that.
And work with HCC, maybe to get that green cycle lane completely painted, because it's got gaps in it, and so people think they can park there, but you can't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll certainly look into that. Thank you.
And you're really pleasing to see, that annual leave is being taken.
Yeah.
And those high balances are coming down.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. Hi, Stu. Paragraph 25, you talk about vehicle use, and the third bullet point was an event of dangerous driving, which was reported to 105 by a member of the public. So just wanting to understand, so a member of the public drove dangerously and we reported it through 105, or we drove dangerously?
No, that's, unfortunately, these instances this month have been our own staff that have been reported through that 105 number. Yeah.
If it had been a member of public, I was like, why is it going to stat? So,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What do you do about that?
Yeah.
No, thank you. That's clarified that.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions? No? If not, I'll thank you for your report, Stuart.
Thank you.
And we have a resolution on the screen. Mover, Councillor Strange, Councillor Cookson, seconded. All in favour? Okay, so we now move on to a huge list of council minutes. So we should be able to get through these reasonably quickly, I think, but if people do have points they want to make, of course, that can be done. So we're going to start first at item 7.2, which is the council minutes for the 30th of March 2023. Are there any comments about those? Okay, so we have a mover, Councillor Strange, a seconder. Councillor Hughes, all in favour? Aye. And we have the committees reporting to council minutes now. So item 8 on page 54. Anything? If not, who's going to be the mover? Councillor Smith, seconded. Councillor Nicol, all in favour? Aye. Moving on. We have we better do that, yeah. So, yeah, we have Madam Chair waiting in the wings there. So, could somebody move that we move back into public excluded? Councillor Nichols, seconded. Councillor Strange, all in favour? Aye. And I'll vacate the chair. Yep.
that's your, let's do it that way. Good suggestion. We're gonna do it that way. All right, so thank you, Bruce, for stepping in. So what we will do is, because I'm informed that lunch is not here yet, so we can't go to lunch. I finally get a plan, and then you come in with the helpful suggestions. No, we're gonna do Waikato screens, all right? And so we'll jump forward to that agenda item, and then we will have lunch, and then we will come back and do kopu. All right? Are we happy with that? Great. So this is item 6.1. 6.2. 6.1.2. Oh, she's all a fluster now. Okay, so this is the approval of remedy for funding deed default Waikato Screens, New Zealand Limited. This is another regional development fund. I will note this was a another regional development fund that the independent panel did not support, and we decided to support anyways. Am I correct in that? Yeah. All right, so we did have our workshop on this. We did sort of work our way through what's before us in terms of the background in the default, as well as the remedy that has been put forward by the organization and the new directors that they have engaged. I don't know, is there any further comment you wanted to make?
Through you, Madam Chair, no, nothing further. As you say, we had a workshop at the beginning of the month, which was an opportunity to engage with Waikato Screen around the work that they do and for introductions with the new directors to be made. As per the report from a staff perspective, the recommendation is that we believe the appointment of those two individuals has addressed the breach to the funding deed, and so we should proceed. However, that decision obviously lies with Council.
And we did, and councillors did get an opportunity to meet the new directors and ask them questions and hear about their background, as well as get an update from Aaron as to what's been accomplished to date, to give us some clarity on how they're making progress. I'll go to Angela.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I think the workshop was really beneficial to hear, as you've said those points. I think that Waikato Screen has already proved the regional benefits to our region with the latest filming in Te Aroha. I'm about to screen on TVNZ in the next coming week. They've already brought over or close to $1 million worth of benefit to that local community. So in saying that, I think that this is, you know, we've done our due diligence so far. So I'm happy to move the motion.
So we've got a mover in Councillor Strange, second in Councillor Graf. Any other comments? The only comment that I would make, and I think I made it in the workshop, was around the reporting back and ensuring that we find a way to work through some of the confidentiality issues so that councillors have confidence that it's more than just, oh yeah, there's a big thing coming, but I can't tell you about it. I understand the need for confidentiality in commercial matters. I think that it's important that when there is reporting back on this, that counselors have a good scope, understanding of the scope of progress that's being made, as opposed to, and here's the big finished product, because the big finished product could be really big, or it could be not as big. And that context is important, I believe, for this council to ensure that it's satisfied that this is progressing the way it was intended to. That would be and I don't know how you make that magic happen, but.
So through you, Madam Chair, we will pick that up with Waikato Screen in reporting back this decision. Just noting, I guess, the interest of council to be really clear on the nature of the benefits that are being delivered through the funding that's been advanced.
Great. All right. Happy for me to put this?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Sorry, yes?
Can I just make a comment? The only thing that I struggled with was that, the whole concept of them bringing these events into the region, and they don't use local suppliers. Well, I know in the Taupo region we've done King Kong and The Hobbit, and that's going back, 10, 15 years ago. We also did Yogi Bear, and they all used local contractors, right through security, catering and stuff like that. So I know this is already a done deal. It was mainly over the two directors designing, but I just thought I'd make that comment that there is districts or TAs out there that are quite proactive in getting these entities into their districts.
Mm-hmm. I suppose that the way I've come to look at Waikato Screens is a little bit like Te Waka. They both present challenges to this council in terms of they are requiring significant funding, and it's a little bit difficult to, concretely quantify exactly what they deliver. It's, yeah. Mm-hmm. But with that, we've got a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Oh, sorry. Abstained. So we'll just note Councillor Smith abstained. And since lunch is here, we'll break for lunch, all right? So what, 20 minutes? Or are we quick eaters? Okay. Is that all right? So we'll reconvene the meeting, 12:50. We are still in public excluded, and we are back to item 6.1.1, which is the Regional Development Fund for the Kopu Marine Precinct. So where we last left it is we had a motion on the table.
And on that very point, Madam Chair, if I may, I will, in the spirit of trying to progress this matter, withdraw my seconding of the motion so that it lapses and allow for further discussion on the matter.
All right, so that motion fails for the lack of a seconder. Does anybody else want to second? A rug pulled. No. All right. Okay. I think we've had a few conversations to progress this. I see a light on there. Councillor Marr, would you like to put forward something?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So, look, I'd just like to quickly sum up from my point of view. You know, WRC, we had a report from Simpson Grierson indicating regional benefits.